Welcome back. In all modern wars, the media are used as a key tool by all sides. In the Israel-Gaza conflict, the strategy employed by Israel drew on lessons learned in the 2006 war with Lebanon, when the Israelis took some hits in both military and media terms. This time, in Gaza, Israel didn't just keep the international media out, it also ensured that when the media were eventually allowed in, that most people wouldn't be watching. Instead, they were glued to the coverage of President Obama's inauguration. Those were some of the points that I put to the Israeli military spokesperson, Avital Leibovich, when she spoke to us from Jerusalem. Major Leibovich, first of all, can you tell us why were foreign journalists locked out of Gaza for so long?
Well, this is actually a governmental decision, has nothing to do with the IDF. I can tell you that during those 3.5 weeks of conflict, we have embedded approximately 17 foreign journalists into the Gaza Strip. So you can understand that we really have nothing to hide here.
Major, I've been in Israel and I've covered the territories as well, and it used to be that we had a relatively easy time of going in and covering the West Bank and the Gaza Strip. From time to time, we'd be stopped at a military checkpoint or two, but we were able to cover the place. Are those days over?
Of course not. I think that Israel is one of the most open, free, and democratic countries that there are in the Middle East and among the Western world. I think that it was only a few weeks that it was completely closed, not only to journalists, but to other delegations as well. So you must understand that nothing was directed towards journalists. And when I opened the TV in my office every day, I saw many live footage coming in from the Gaza Strip. No one thought that this is something you can hide.
In the time that I've covered the country, I've often heard people in positions like yours and government positions above yours saying that Israel's policy on the media is far more open than any of your Arab neighbors. Recently, we've heard people like CNN reporters saying that they had more freedom covering the Lebanon war in 2006 than they had in Gaza, which was under Israeli control. So is Israel's new approach to media any better than the countries that you have traditionally criticized on this?
Well, I think that it's very difficult to compare two different situations with two different enemies. We had a different situation at the time of the Lebanese war. In the beginning, if you recall, we were not sure it will turn out into a war. Of course, there was no planning for this. And in spokesmanship, there is no black and white. It's not something scientific. You have to adapt your strategy according to the situation. Now, the fact that many times journalists were among the soldiers preparing to enter Lebanon sometimes caused us severe security problems that might even have an effect on the lives of the soldiers. This is why the area around the Gaza Strip remained a closed military zone as long as the operation went on, because we did not want to expose our preparations to the enemy or to the other side. This is why we kept the closed military zone all this period of time.
So are you saying, therefore, that the Lebanon war in 2006 resulted in a change in Israeli policy on how to deal with the media when it comes to war zones, that there's been a sea change there?
I'm saying that there isn't two similar situations. You can't compare the two situations because it's different backgrounds, different areas, different enemies, different timing, and different preparedness for these different conflicts. Therefore, you cannot also make sure that the same strategy that worked for Lebanon will be the same strategy here. Of course, there will always be security precautions. After all, we will do, first of all, what is best for the soldiers, and then what is best for the journalists.
But you would understand why it is that people, not just on this network, but on others, are saying that this is a policy towards the media written by a government that clearly has something to hide in Gaza.
Once again, the Erez crossing was closed not only for journalists, but also for other delegations. So it was not directed only to journalists.
But that doesn't make it right.
Maybe it does not make it right, but it's a governmental decision, and I'm working under the government.
Let me ask you one more question, and that's the timing of your decision to finally let journalists back in. You sent in 8 journalists and allowed them to go in immediately following the ceasefire and the completion of the pullout, which coincided with the inauguration in Washington. Now, many people have suggested that the timing of this was no accident, that the Israeli military was letting journalists in when they knew that the eyes of the global media would be elsewhere in Washington. Is there anything to that?
It's not the Israeli military that allowed the journalists in. It was the Israeli government. There was no consideration of the inauguration at all. For the last 10 days of the operation, there were journalists that entered through the Rafah border and went into Gaza Strip. I don't see you blaming the Egyptian government for closing the borders. And we provided them one thing.
Well, actually, Major Leibovich, if you saw our broadcast last week, you will have seen that we raised that issue. We showed the coverage in Egypt and the criticism that the Egyptian government was taking for refusing to allow people in through Rafah. But the fact is, though, that for years, Israel has been saying it is better at dealing with the media, more open, more free than its Arab neighbors. That's no longer the case, is it, when we look at this conflict? That's not something that the Israeli military can say anymore, is it?
We provided one thing that the other side did not provide the media many times, which is the truth. We always gave the truth. We always gave it in details, and we had footage to show it also. Now, regarding the military side, I'll take you back 3 months ago when I specifically escorted Al Jazeera team and other crews from other networks to a very secret F-16I squadron in one of the Air Force bases. Therefore, we are working with journalists. We are opening the army to them. I think that the freedom of speech is something that we will respect, but each strategy is adapted to the conflict.
Major Avital Leibovich, thanks for speaking to us here at the Listening Post. More Global Village Voices now on Israel and the reporting of the Gaza story.
I believe the Israelis allowed journalists into Gaza on the eve of the inauguration of the American president. It's just to show a good faith and a good gesture to the Americans and not to come in conflict with the president on his first day at work.
A point that has not been addressed by the media is the environment inside Gaza. For instance, recent broadcasts have shown that people within Gaza are scared to criticise Hamas. How, for instance, can we expect a doctor in Shifa hospital to differentiate between militants and children and women? They're scared to do so. So how can we expect their response to be authentic? Responsible reporting, at the very least, means acknowledging that there is a coercive environment imposed by Hamas.
We'll leave you with a final farewell to George W. Bush. As he left Washington, Mr. Bush took a beating in all kinds of media, traditional media like TV and newspapers, and in this internet age, some of the more provocative parting shots have ricocheted around the World Wide Web, posted there by individuals. The American comedian Sarah Silverman went on the news channel MSNBC to make a few sarcastic points about the Bush legacy and also to take a stab at some liberal voices in U.S. media who are rather gleeful at the end of this chapter of American political history. We scalped it off the web, made it our Internet Video of the Week. We'll see you next time at the Listening Post.
And now, of course, after 8 long years, we finally say farewell. Perhaps more appropriately, we say good riddance to George W. Bush. And looking back, how would you rate his presidency?
Keith, I'd have to give it a 10. Let's take a look at some of the true accomplishments of one of America's all-time most recent presidents. I mean, think about it. He made the nuclear arms race fun again by calling it nuclear.
And I issued a statement saying that we would work for a nuclear weapons-free Korean peninsula.
So cute, like Piscetti or bathing snoot. Too small of an accomplishment? Fine. Try this one on for size. George Bush is also a lover of smooth jazz, and I think we can all agree that evil can't exist within the mellow arms of smooth jazz. It's too smooth. I mean, people love to complain about him. What about the war in Iraq, Sarah? What about his big war in Iraq? You mean the war that gave Iron Man, like, way more meaning? When George W. Bush said it's time to invade Iraq, he couldn't have told us the truth that he was trying to revitalize Robert Downey Jr.'s career. No one would have believed it. But history's vindicated him. And that's the key to understanding misunderstood leaders. So, Mr. President, if you're out there, from all of us in America and all over the world, bye.
Well, I'm not really sure where we go from here.